So this is a progress report, an update for the Bionicle expansion project, and I'm really happy with the progress on this. I am not the world's quickest worker by any means, but this is an entire year's worth of Bionicle sets all coming together, all designed by myself, so it is time consuming, let's say. Now, this is a work in progress, and things are inevitably going to change from this point. But I did want to go ahead and showcase it because I'm very happy, and I think there's a lot to love with this. So without further ado, let's get into it. And if you enjoy this content, be sure you're subscribed. It really helps out the channel tremendously. All right, let's go ahead and hop on over to this. So right off the bat, you can see that there's a lot going on here. Now, this is a work in progress. There's a lot of stuff here that's not entirely finished or polished to any full degree. And some of this stuff has not been entirely play tested because I'm just a single individual. I have no idea how kids would interact with this stuff, but the point still stands, right? That I think overall there's a lot to love here. As you guys may or may not know, depending on how much you know about the Bionicle expansion project, it is a little different from previous runs of Bionicle. For one thing, there are only 9 Glatorian characters and 9 Agori characters, so not a full set of 12 as you would normally have in a standard year of Bionicle, right? Usually you have 12 canister sets. To make up for that, though, of course, these builds are a little bit more dedicated, a little more in-depth, and use a lot more parts in them in total. So it still kind of makes up for it. It does probably mean that if Lego had designed this, the price would have gone up on these as well because they'd want to justify having less sets in total available on the shelves at any given time, but the point still stands. Now, obviously, with the Glatorian, 3 of these are just copy-paste right now. They have not been finished in their design. Well, Israkoth kind of has. I have not built him in studio yet, but you can actually, oh, you can't see him because my microphone is directly in the way. There's a video on Israkoth, and I'm going to attach that to the end of this video so you can see him. That said, that is the Iron character who's also inspired by like a sort of dragon-esque build, but he is a Glatorian. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. That said, though, in terms of establishing like color schemes and things like that, I think this does a pretty good job overall of giving you an idea of each of these characters' colors and unique identities. Because you say, well, if there's 9 characters, usually in a standard year of Bionicle, there are 12, but that's 2 from each element, right? 2 fire characters, 2 earth, etc. This year, however, this project, there are 9, I don't want to say elements because this is Bionicle. There really aren't elements per se, but there are factions, if nothing else, right? And so in this world, in this project, there are 9 factions, and so the 9 factions are represented here. I'll get into that in a separate video. There's more to this project that comes afterward because this is an expansion project that doesn't really have an end date per se, but for the year of, let's say, 2010, this is kind of an idea, a visual idea of what would be coming out, right? So in terms of the figures themselves, first off, I was heavily inspired by a sort of steampunk pirate-esque type of aesthetic. Also worth noting, too, that I was leaning pretty heavily into gold and gunmetal colors for this as well to sort of subvert the silver from the 2008 Bionicle. We got a lot of silver and a lot of support for that color, but not so much for other colors. So gold, I think, is a really fine color to use. For one thing, it lends to the steampunk aesthetic quite well, which is another part of this whole theme, right? But it also, pirates, greed, gold, it kind of all blends together, if you will. So far, in terms of the designs of each of the characters, you can kind of see what I've come up with as of here. The red character, at least at this point in time, has a bird that comes with him, which is this dark green bird build. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit cliche, the red character coming with a side build, much like Jollar in 2007. You could very easily swap that out for one of the other characters, but I do like the idea either way of having the small bird build here. And of course, it's also just a good excuse to get the Skrull armor in a new color, the Matoro armor in a new color, etc. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. You've got the peg leg build with the hook on the arm. Again, a quintessential sort of pirate thing going on here. I think that makes total sense. You've got this one I'm actually really happy with. Maybe you don't like this one. This might be a bit of a jarring color scheme here, but I really like it. One of the other difficult things for this wave was I was trying to utilize a lot of colors in each of the characters, but in a way that still felt cohesive, right? This character has dark blue plus medium blue plus orange plus pearl gold. Like, that is a lot of stuff to look at. Whether or not it works, I don't know. I'd have to see it in person. This also would reintroduce flat gold, but that's a separate thing. And again, if Lego was doing this, they're not going to reintroduce a color like that, I doubt, right? That said, though, I'm still really happy with the overall design of this character, especially with that helmet specifically, even though I'm not a big fan of that helmet. And that brings me to my next point, the helmets, the weapons, etc., right? I have not finished designing all of the unique parts or sourcing the unique parts for this. I want to say right off the bat, too, that not everything that you see here that is custom is my design. This is not my design. I believe I've gone over this in a video already, and I would love to credit the original creator of this, but I'll have to look that information up because I don't remember who made this. So I usually rename the files with the person's name in it, and unfortunately didn't do that here. That said, not my piece. Full credit goes out to the original creator, of course, for this piece specifically. But with that said, there's a lot of lovely bits of, I want to say, just love and care that went into the design of a lot of these characters. Kairuis designed and inspired by a character that I actually built in real life when I had the white Perditus helmet, or the character here with the sort of magenta pink trans color, which I would have loved to have seen in anywhere in Bionicle, honestly. But especially like the Borak eye pieces, because it's a new color and I'm greedy. Why not? Moving forward to the Agori before we get to the like bigger dedicated builds. Some of these, again, kind of stand-ins at the moment because I don't have a full-fledged design like set out in my own mind yet. But I'm pretty happy with how each of them has sort of come out. I do think that they have pretty reasonable identity to them. Obviously, like purple and black and medium blue and black are similar in their color scheme, so I could see a little bit of overlap there. You've got medium blue on another character too, so maybe, this character changes its color scheme around a little bit. But the point still stands that I think there's a decent amount of identity here with at least some of these characters. It's hard to start to design unique characters when you're building on the same platform over and over again, especially when you do it in like a single sitting, which is kind of what I did here. Of course, you've got the dinosaur-esque build of the brown character, sort of going for that animalistic trait that was started by Zesk in 2009, right? And carrying that over. And I think that that's a really good use of that platform as well, that Agori platform, right? Because again, this is after the events of oh gosh, what is it called? The Reformation. I feel like that's probably not what it's called, but my brain's not grabbing the word. The point being that after the planets sort of come back together, this whole story sort of kicks off. So there are dinosaurs, there are plants, there's a lot of other resource and things. And we've got some other builds too. For one thing, you have a Thornax vine here. Granted, this piece right here does not come in black, or brown rather. So you'd have to use it in black if you wanted to make this yourself. But of course, I have the freedom of recoloring things because this is ideally a new wave of Bionicle, right? And so seeing this piece, which also didn't even come out in 2009 or 2010, in this color would have been honestly kind of fantastic. And I think would have helped lend itself to world building, right? Because the Thornax are fruit, right? On top of that, we have a couple little builds here for these like beetle-esque things. One was a scorpion build, but I went ahead and went away from that design to lean more into a insect-like build, which, I mean, scorpions are arthropod, something like that. Anyway, I'm losing my words here. And then on top of that, you got this little pterodactyl build, which has flapping wings via a function underneath the model. And then you've got a little glider and an Agori that chases it. That's the other thing, too. Even though there are only 9 canister Glatorian or canister Agori, you still get a full set of 12 at the end of the day with this run because of vehicles, because of creatures, because etc., right? So one of the builds, for example, I believe the first vehicle I designed here is the Sandstorm, which I love the design of so much. No, it doesn't turn. It doesn't have the ability to turn the front wheel. So it is a static model in that sense. It does roll at the very least, though. I actually have had it near me. But it's a really lovely design, in my opinion, most notably because of how sleek the design is. I do have it here as well. So just this, it looks cool, and it sort of fits the greebly aesthetic that I was going for. Again, with this being a sort of like steampunk-esque vibe, I'd probably lean away from some of the silver on the model for things like gold or gunmetal or etc. here. Obviously, you can see we've got these copper blade pieces used to add a little bit of extra color. But overall, the model itself looks exceptional, in my opinion. And although it can't steer, it can at least still turn the thorn axe via a ball joint that's locked in place as well. So it's still kind of cool. Lots of lights and things on it, little things like that. And I made a video on this as well. Moving back into studio, the next thing you can see here, which is quite a large build, and it's not finished, obviously, is the flagship itself, literally called the flagship. One of the other gimmicks for this wave, every year Bionicle usually has a gimmick of some kind or another. 2007 having, being underwater, having the tubes and things. 2008 having the Matoran connect to the backs. 2009 having whatever the gimmick of 2009 was. And then this portion was going to have capes, right? Fabric was going to be heavily used in this wave here. And so you would get capes with each of the large canister figures, each of the Glatorian figures specifically, but also many of the vehicle sets would actually have capes as well. So the flagship having literal sails made from cloth, right? The I can't remember the name of this vehicle right now, but I have made a video on it. It has a cloth that goes over the top of it, that drapes over the top like a sunroof, right? And it folds away and, it does some cool things. This one doesn't have any sort of cloth to it at the moment, but maybe it would have like some flags or banners or something on it. And that also plays in later. Again, that's a separate thing. Obviously, the dragon has wings, which are fabric. And then I've considered giving to Calterix an actual sail on it made of fabric as well. So it is worth noting that not all, but many of the vehicles here also have functions of some kind. The Straddle Beast, of course, has the head moving function. Again, it's not completely finished. There would be a driver for the set. It has the double catapult going on. The Sky Tyrant, the dragon here, has the wings which open and flap. So they actually do all of that in one motion. Again, I've made a video on the mock of this, kind of showcasing how it works. I think it was a short, but don't quote me on that. Calterix has just a head biting function. It's nothing terribly fancy and it's fairly straightforward, but it's nice to have. The Ornithopter, of course, has the wings which flap back and forth in alternate directions. And then the flagship at the moment has the turbines which spin. The propellers in the back which spin, but also is going to have fold out weapons which are inspired by like cannons because it's a literal flying pirate ship. Anyway, so there's a lot going on here, as you can tell, and I'm very happy with progress. And as progress continues, of course, there will be more updates in the future. You can see I also added the Sandstalker here because ideally, if I was designing this wave of Bionicle, I would have redesigned the Sandstalker, so it's essentially replacing the official one from Bionicle here. But overall, I'm terribly happy with how everything here looks as it stands, but of course, it's going to continue to evolve as time goes on. So that's basically it for this video. I think I will try and go ahead and post this file over on the Discord server. I'll probably have to like zip it or whatever so it actually goes over there correctly. No, I think I can share it. It is a decent amount of pieces, like 3,500 pieces, probably more if there were any sort of sub assemblies in it. But if you guys want to check it out, then it will be over there for you to take a look around at. And, some of these things are buildable. The Ornithopter is completely buildable, though granted those wings specifically aren't ideal because they don't pass each other properly. I use different wings on the official build, which is not near me, but it's over in a bin off screen. And then, of course, the Sandstorm is buildable. As you saw, the Straddle Beast is somewhat buildable, but again, not completely finished and not quite as strong as I'd like it to be. The bird pulling the rickshaw, that's what it is. The little rickshaw build and the bird and everything here is buildable, minus some of the colors needing to be changed around, but, still fun. And even the flagship, as it stands right here, with some exceptions of recolors, because I'm still messing around with colors on it, is at least in part buildable, fully buildable with existing pieces, but in their appropriate colors. Anyway, so that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, again, Of course, be sure to subscribe. It helps the channel out tremendously. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Is there anything from the bar magnet expansion project from this year specifically that you think is missing that you would like to see? Or is there anything you do like that you do see here? And of course, also let me know your thoughts on what you think might be coming in the future for the project, because like I said, the idea is that this is not just a 2010 project, but it's an expansive project beyond 2010 as well. So there are further years, let's say, in development. All right, I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.